Hi, Sandy here, and I'm so happy you are back. In my last video, I mentioned that I have been reading a book about the myths surrounding homelessness. In this video, we'll learn more about the deinstitutionalization of mental hospitals, the myth that modern homelessness was created by Ronald Reagan, and the idea that most homeless people are mentally ill and dangerous, end quote. Ms. Brosnahan points out that between 1955 and 1980, 125,000 people were released from state psychiatric hospitals. One of the catalysts that added to the number of homeless people was the signing of the Mental Retardation and Community Mental Health Centers Construction Act by President John F. Kennedy in 1963. Contrary to what one may think, this bill was actually intended to correct the problems that had happened in the state-run psychiatric hospitals, which were, quote, notorious for decrepit conditions, abuse, and neglect, end quote. The idea behind the bill was to build a healthier environment for the care of people with mental health issues. Because of a series of changes that occurred in the government, President Kennedy's plan never took root. You may be wondering, what happened? Sadly, the most obvious was the assassination of President Kennedy. In 1980, President Jimmy Carter increased the federal investment in the solution President Kennedy started. Then Ronald Reagan became president. He repealed those monies, giving them to the states in block grants, which gave the power of those funds and how to use them to the state, and they would spend it how they saw fit. In my opinion, this is how the myth that homelessness was created by Ronald Reagan was started. Actually, this implies that the states chose to use those funds for something else. I think going down this rabbit hole would cause me to lose focus on my purpose for this video. It does make sense how this myth was born considering politics, but I digress. Let's explore the myth, quote, most homeless people are mentally ill and dangerous, end quote. We know that politicians and the media distort a social issue for any number of reasons that benefit them. They have taken the idea that homeless people are mentally ill and dangerous and amplified the myth. In reality, it turns out that only 25 to 33% of the homeless population are mentally ill. Everyday life can feel like an uphill battle for a person with mental illness. Challenges with thinking clearly, managing emotions, and maintaining consistent routines can make it impossible to hold a steady job or even maintain a safe place to live. But more often than not, homelessness among people with mental illness isn't simply the result of their condition. It's driven by deeper systemic issues like poverty and the shortage of affordable housing. And the cycle doesn't end there. Living without stable housing can intensify existing mental health structures. adding layers of trauma and stress that can make recovery very difficult. Let's look at the other side of the quote unquote dangerous homeless person coin. Ms. Brosnahan explains that, quote, the data shows that homeless people are far more likely to be the victims of crime, end quote, than their peers who have a home. She cites a study that showed a staggering 73 to 87% of homeless people experienced some type of victimization. What ideas do you have that we can do to help these people? Leave your comments or questions below. We will explore some options in upcoming videos. That's all that I have for today. If you haven't already, please like, subscribe, and share this video. Thank you for joining me today. Until next time, TTFN, ta-ta for now.